Hello, everybody. It's Friday night, you could go out, you could go party, or you could live stream and hang out. And that's what I'm going to do. I think I love live streaming because it's just a fun way to just hang out and get me to work on my personal projects. Because one of the things, like if you work and you have life and you have other things, it's hard to find like time to build personal projects, even like making new videos for YouTube. But it's something that like I really enjoy and I love, sharing things with people. And so it's kind of like nice way to get to do all those things, work on my personal project, work on, streaming and creating cool stuff for YouTube. So I hope everybody's doing amazing. Saying hello in the comments. I could see Alex, I haven't seen you in forever. You're the best. Code with Petty Pose. Hello, 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 everybody. Alex says, my channel tripled since I first subscribed. That's awesome. It's getting there, work in progress. I should put more effort into it, to be honest, because I feel like it's a good thing to share stuff. But I still feel like if people don't know my story, I learned to code like late in my 30s, switched careers, got into tech. I still like feel like an imposter, even though like my 6th year in the industry, which is kind of cool. And hello code with Petit Poise. I probably mispronounced it like crazy, to be honest. But I'm just gonna like basically stream working on personal projects. So what I want to do is I want to create like more free resources on my YouTube channel and share it with folks. And basically what I wanted to do is create like a little LMS system to manage the courses. So that's kind of like what I'm working and building. And you could like check it out in production if you want and probably break it. But I have this website called Coding After 30. And basically, if you log in, if you, by the way, log out, it's nothing is like paid here. You don't have to pay. I just want people to have a GitHub to like be like, hey, if you're learning how to code, you should probably have a GitHub. So I added a sign-in button of how to like sign up. So if you go to all courses, it's going to say, hey, if you want to take a course, you got to sign in. And then once you sign in, you'll be able to go and view the courses and you could take a course. And so I just finished my Strapi 5 crash course. You could check it out here. And that's like this right section here in terms of filling out the documentation is still work in progress, but you could watch the videos. You could see the notes here on the right. You could like adjust stuff if you're like, oh man, like I want to just see more of the video or I want to see more of the notes. So I wanted to give like a better experience for my users to interact with my courses. And by the way, like all my courses, they're available on YouTube like freely. So you don't like, it's literally free education. And I love building stuff with Strapi. So it's awesome. And yeah, and so this is still work in progress. In general, like for the front end, I'm using obviously Next.js by Vercel. Just Next.js is awesome. I know some people hate on it. I'm a big React fan. So to me, like Astro.js, React, and then Next.js. I love Remix until they decided to not do their thing and they just focused on React Router 7, which I think is amazing. I love the Tan stack. But for me right now, just because of the things that I interact with, literally most of my projects are built with Next.js, or at least I started to build most of my projects used to be built with like just React Router 7 or using Remix. But now I'm like, for this year, just going to focus on Next.js. And I love Astro, by the way. Astro is amazing. So if you have like a simple like website, like Astro is actually a good way to do it. So for this particular project, I'm using Next.js. And of course, for my backend, I use a headless CMS. Like, why recreate the wheel if you could just create a backend in minutes and manage all your data and you have access to the API. So for instance, my front end is using Next.js. I have all these windows open. I don't know which one I'm looking at. Yeah, so my front end, this is running locally now. So this is my project built with Next.js. And my backend is Strapi CMS, which allows me to easily add courses, manage topics. And I love Strapi because it's based on Node. So if you into kind of like Node.js, you could customize Strapi insanely. And I'll show you an example of a customization that I recently built that I'm going to add to this project just because for fun. I don't know if it's a useful feature, but it's kind of cool. And I'll talk about it in a little bit. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm building a project with Astro. That's cool. Yeah, Astro is like pretty awesome, pretty amazing. I love Astro. I literally just had a great talk. I'll share it if I go to strapi.io, developer blog. I just did an excellent talk. Why Astro is your go-to framework for content-heavy websites. And I had a pleasure talking with Chris. Amazing dude. This was like a great chat. I'll actually put a link to the blog post I wrote, but more importantly, you could like check out the video. And if you're learning Astro, like I took Chris's course, it's pretty awesome. And so to me, I'm like a big fan of Astro. Actually, if you go to my GitHub and you look up Astro and Astro Strapi example project, this is a project that I just built using Astro as the front end and Strapi as the back end, so you could manage all your content in Strapi. And I'll drop a link here for anybody who wants to check it out. And by the way, the Strapi crash course that I currently finished literally is I showed you how to build out this whole back end with Strapi. So if you go to codingafter30.com, this whole crash course in Strapi 5 is basically showing you how to build out the back end. And then my next part is I'm going to work on building out the Astro portion of the course. And by the way, yeah, if I want to keep this like more engaging, so if any of you have questions or want me to answer something, definitely let me know, and I will try to get some work done as well. But I'm much more excited about chatting with you. And one day, like, you know, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let me just see here. Black Dreams. Hey, Paul. Question about Strapi media. All my assets, they look broken, but in VS Codes are visible. Now my website is served without images and the logo. So how is your project deployed somewhere, or is this like, so locally it works, but when you deploy it, it doesn't work? And if so, what's your front end and where's your Strapi application deployed? So I'll kind of show you what I'm doing in my project. So if you take a look in my client application right now, not my, yeah, that's my client. But if you look at the server, sorry, I'm not showing my screen here. So here I am in the project that I'm working, and let me just make this bigger. And like, while you give me more context about your question, but dude, look, did you know that VS Code extension could just have pet cats? That's just so amazing. That's why I had to move my face from this side of the screen to this side, just so I could flex my cat extension in VS Code. This is just silly to me, and I love it because cats are awesome. But anyway, if you look at my Strapi application, this is locally, right? And if you look in, is it temp? No, public, you're gonna see upload folder, and you're gonna see that I have all my images to my application in my local folder. But when you deploy your application, you're not gonna host your data or your files locally, especially if you're using something that, if you don't use it, it kind of like powers out. So like, let's say on DigitalOcean, you deploy your Strapi application, and if you store your data in the file structure of Strapi with the images, every time your server shuts down, that's going to be wiped, right? And so you start. So typically what people do, they use like either AWS bucket, you could use Cloudinary to store your images, and then basically that way you have image. But that's not what I wanted to show you here. So the issue here is in local, Let me close the pads down for a second. Come on, come on. What? I cannot do it. So let me zoom out here. So locally, right? Because I'm referencing public data here, the URL is going to be different than it is when you deploy it. So one quick example, if I go back to my Next.js application, cat client, I created a component in components called custom Strapi image. And basically what I'm doing here, I have this function called get Strapi media. And basically what I'm doing is I'm checking, you know, how is the file referenced. When it's locally, you're just going to get upload / the name of the file, and then you have to prepend, you know, where those files are hosted. If that data is coming, say, for Cloudinary, it'll probably start with HTTP or HTTPS or like whatever. And so you have to kind of create the URL based on where your data is stored. And so I'm kind of doing with this component. It's probably not answering your question but that's kind of like one of the common things. It depends how you deploy your Strapi application. So for instance, locally here, like I'll console log here. Let me go here. Let me like console.log image URL and see if we could see it. Let me go to my local. I have too many tabs open because I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. So if you look here, yeah, so you see here, because this is stored in my file, it's HTTP localhost uploads Strapi course, whatever the name of that file image, and that's why it works. On Nginx server, the project structures VS Code is almost the same as. So how do you handling like saving your files? Like where are your files living? Are they living like, so like on the server, are you storing files inside the file structure of Strapi the same way it works in local service? Or are you using a provider to handle your images? Like for instance, like I'll show you here it shows the local reference of the images, upload Strapi. But if you go to like the deployed application, right, here at somewhere, yeah, here, let's go to coding of third. So if I copy image address and open it in a new thing, well, I am using Next.js, so, well, and it's going to download it. I'll show you inside the Strapi application. Hold on. I have too many tabs. Let me close a bunch of these tabs down. Jesus, I closed too many. Okay. Yeah, so this is my application deployed. If I go to media library and I take a look at the URL and I open it like in a separate place, notice it's different. It's not Strapi upload whatever. It's literally a URL where my image is saved and stored the way Strapi Cloud does it. So if you didn't set up how to you know, deal with the image, then you're probably like not getting the proper URL basically. So the project is hosted with structure was almost the same as ServeCam final with okay. My project server public uploads here all the images are. So my project server public uploads here all the images. That's where all. So you're storing all the images on the file. So like if that's what you're doing, like in your app, I know this is gonna sound like super stupid, and you probably tried it. Like what happens when you console log the image URL? Like what are you getting? And then like going backwards and troubleshooting from there. Yeah, it would be cool like if you were able to like share your screen. Like one thing I'm gonna say, like like I do hang out at Strapi's Discord Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. CST time. So strapi.io events. I'll put the link yeah, so we have open office hours Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. CST time. Let me copy the link. And so the reason why I say this is because anybody's welcome. And like it's you have the ability to actually share your screen and show stuff. Like when I do live stream, it's kind of hard for me to kind of have you like, hey, come on the live stream, show me your issue. But it'll be like very easy to kind of take a look at your code there and just literally troubleshoot the code with you. But if, you know, like that's definitely an option. And maybe I should open up like live streams where maybe we do it via Zoom, and then people who are comfortable, like they're able to like come on and share their screen, because that's something I want to try. Like I'll think about it like for, like I think that'll be like a cool way to do it. Do like not every stream, but maybe do like a special stream for subscribers, which basically people could come in and ask questions. But I would definitely say like Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. CST, try it, open office hours. I'm there all the time, unless there's a day off in US, then I'm probably relaxing. But that way we could help you troubleshoot. It'll make it easier. But I think like like the issues, like you're probably not referencing proper, you know, like location where your images are. But yeah, that would be like the thing. So anyway, I know that wasn't very helpful, but I tried. It's always easier like when you're able to look at the code. But anyway, this is my project locally. And so one of the things that I wanted to start to work on, and by the way, if anybody has random questions, definitely ask, and I will talk about it. But like once you sign in, I'm like, you know, it'll be cool. Like it'll be nice for people to have a profile page. So I went ahead and built a profile page. So for instance, like if we're locally and you click on your avatar here, boom, it's gonna take you to a profile page. So I wanna talk about like, you know, some of the issues that we have, and talk about like how, like, if you're gonna have user data, like you definitely wanna have it in levels, and you wanna do it in a way where certain data should be private. Like, and this is locally, so it's like my information. And I'll kind of walk through this. Like this here, it's coming from user.me, which is the Strapi user, and you're able to get the location. So one of the things that I want to do, number one, is maybe for user.me, the only information I want to return is this. And so you shouldn't be able to see any of this information. So that's something that we could do later, because that's not as important to me as the other issue that I want to solve right now. But the idea is you want your backend only to return the information that is pertaining to the user. The good news is the only reason I'm able to see my own information here is because I'm logged in. Like if you try to make a request without being logged in, this is going to fail. But another problem I have here is that I wanted my users to have a, you know, user profile information. And I want it to be separate from here, because I definitely want to keep this separate and keep it this like more secure. And then I want to have a general information for the user that will return, you know, their bio, you know, their name, maybe the courses you're taking. So I could display that to you in the profile. But right now, if you take a look, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm also returning the user information, which is not necessary. And so the idea is, and I'm probably like not explaining as clear, if you take a look at my local Strapi instance, this user information, this should be like as private as possible. Like, right, like you should only be able to see like the stuff that you need, and no one outside of you should be able to get it and see it. And so I decided to keep this separate. And even when you do see it on your front end, I'm going to make sure that you can't update your email, or like, I'm still thinking about it, but whatever. And then you have like your user profile, where you have any additional information that is pertaining to that user, like the name, the courses that you're following, or maybe you could keep progress, like very basic bio, maybe like keep track of all the courses and lessons you completed, you know, like your GitHub link, whatever you want. And this should not be part of like the main user, which you want it to be locked down. You don't want anybody else to see it except you if you logged in. User profile, it could be something that you might have an option that you only see your thing, or maybe you have a public profile. And so that's why I kept them separate. Now in Strapi, like, or when you're making databases, right, you can, and I'll kind of show it to you here in user. If I go to the content type page builder, we have for the user profile, we have a relationship which is two ways. And what that means is if I look the user profile, because it's a two-way relationship, I am able to get the user data, and maybe I shouldn't be able to. And so two ways to handle that. I could either create a policy which checks that, and or middleware and cleans the data, or instead of using a two-way relationship, I should just use one-way relationship. And if it doesn't make sense, I'll talk about it a little bit more, kind of like in my app. But first, let me look at the questions here. It was helpful. Oh, I'm glad. And then Black Dream says, what are the top extensions you recommend on Strapi Marketplace for admin panel for affiliate booking? Website I'm using, hard-coded search widget. That else you could recommend? Thanks in advice. Advanced. For affiliate booking. So there's like, I mean, you could integrate, you could either like create your own, or Strapi marketplace. It's not like, we have couple. We have, I think, like, I'm just gonna look up search. We're actually in the process of rebuilding this, or maybe Angolia. I don't know how to spell it. Algolia. Algolia. So we have this plugin. That you can install and create global search, but it really depends like what you want to do. Like if it's just to kind of search your own items, you could create like your own like search logic. And in terms of the plugin, is this search within Strapi or within your front end? That's like another question. But that's kind of like what I would say. Check out Algolia plugin, if that makes sense. And it's kind of cool, affiliate booking site. I'm actually building a directory site project. I have this like interesting idea for something that I'm doing, but cool. Yeah, so let me close this down for a second. And then I saw you, Alex. You want to know what is the cat plugin called? I think it's called Pets installed. Postman. I don't remember the name, so I have to scroll. I have too many. These are like all my VS Code extensions that I have installed. I could have also searched Pets. It's not called Pets. Animals. No. Hold on. I'm gonna have to scroll. It can't be that far to find. Anyway, yeah, it's hold on. I wonder if I could like click on it and see it. Oh, it's called VS Code Pets. It's right here. It's on the name of the plugin. Jesus Christ, idiot, you know. Yeah, VS Code plugin. VS Code Pets. It's pretty cool. You could add different ones. Like you could have chickens, Clippy, I don't know, crabs. I'm all about cats. Maybe a fox. It'll be cool. Like you add like different animals, so then they could battle. That like Pokemon. That'll be pretty hilarious. But anyway, so back to my application, and then I'll keep an eye at chat and questions. And so let me just walk you through what's happening on the front end first. And let me know if I'm too zoomed in or not. So yeah, that looks good. I'm not too zoomed out. So in my front-end application in app, I have a folder called protected, and that's where our dashboard and our profile. When you navigate to the profile page, and like I might be too zoomed in, and you know what? I'm gonna move myself here. We know the pets exist, so no point, and make my face smaller. There you go. And basically on the profile page right now, all I'm trying to do is let me just get the user's profile that I'm able to get. And so I don't know why I like this kind of pattern from Remix, is I create like a loader. And because this is a React server component, this runs on the server, which is kind of cool. I get my data, and what I'm doing, number one, is I'm getting get user me loader. And all this does, it hits the me user endpoint in Strapi. So if you go to Strapi and you take a look under settings, under roles, authenticated, you're going to see in the user's permissions, you're going to see a me endpoint here. It looks like this, user.me. And by the way, if I try to navigate like this, like this, where I just try to go to it directly, it's going to say forbidden because you need to be authenticated. So you don't have to worry about your data being leaked, because like you have to be logged in to see your own data, which is kind of cool. And this works as expected in our code base. But basically, I'm making a call to the user me endpoint, and I am getting the user ID. If there is no user, like you could throw an error, I'm like just doing like not found. Maybe I'll do like a redirect, but basically if there's no user ID, like, don't do anything else because the user doesn't exist. But if the user exists, then we get the user profile. And after we get the user profile, I'm just kind of showing the data here. And the two issues that I have, the first issue is that I kind of showed you, because of the wrong relationship I used in Strapi, notice that when I ask for the data, I get all the user data, and maybe this user data should be private. Maybe it has information like I don't know, any like secret information that you don't want, like you want to have extra layer of security, like you don't want to see this. And so the first way to fix this, we're going to eliminate it like differently. But before we do that, I want to show you a problem with my application. So right now, I have two users. I have me and I have a test user. Test user ID is 5. And I have two profiles. I have the profile for me, and then I have the profile for the test user. And so the issue right now, and again, like I showed before, it's not like a really big issue because you still need to be authorized and logged in. But the issue is, notice that right now I'm getting Paul Bratz as the user, and I'm getting Paul Bratz's profile, right? Which is good. That's what you want. But check this out. If I go here, and instead of getting the user, because I'm authenticated, right? When I look up a different user ID, and again, this would be like hard to do, like you would need to have the auth token. You have to know it, and you have to make the call directly to the API. But still, the fact that I'm able to do this, like we should fix it, because look, like now I get Paul, so like I'm getting like all the information for the test user now, right? Including the profile, but I'm logged in as Paul Braslavsky. That's not cool, right? Like that shouldn't happen. So the first thing we're going to do is, number one, like we want to change the relationship that we don't get this secondary user information because it's not necessary. That doesn't belong in our profile, right? We either make a user me request and we get the user me data, but if we make the profile request, we don't want the user data again because we don't want to leak any other information. So the first thing we're going to do, and the way we're going to fix it, is in our content type builder, we're going to go to user. And this is like a good practice that I'm starting to implement, is don't make bi-directional relations. You just need one-way relation. And I think we're gonna call this, it changed the name on me, user, users, wait, I'm too zoomed in. Yeah, it should just be user. I think that's what I called it. Let me refresh because I don't remember what the hell that I called it. So let's go back again, users profile, not users profile. Yeah, users profile. We call it user profile. We just keep it consistent sort of app. So instead of using a two-way relation, we're going to make one-way relation. Oops. Because we just want to be able to, what is it doing? One password. What are you doing? You're interfering with me. We just, like, we don't need to have a two-way relationship. User profile should not be able to get data from like the user main account. And hey, Lucky, long time no see. Yeah, I've been like just not streaming or doing much. So I want to get back into it. And I'm a bit rusty, but who cares? We'll slowly get back into it. So by changing it to like one way and saving, probably is going to break my app in a bunch of places. Maybe it won't. It shouldn't, to be honest. But the difference now is in user profile, we don't see the user. I probably should have showed it to you. Let me go back and do this again. So check this out. If I make this two-way relationship and finish and save, when I go to the user profile, look, we have this user relation because it's two-way. And so now whenever on my front end, I get the user profile, I get all that other detailed user information. And that's not necessary. And that should probably, like if you have something super, like I don't have anything super secret there, but if we did, you shouldn't be able to see it. And so if I go back and I update it and make it one-way relationship, and save, and it didn't crash, okay, and go to the user profile, notice the user profile doesn't have it because it shouldn't care about it and it doesn't need it. We need to have these layers like of information. You shouldn't be able to look up the root user or any unnecessary private information that user profile shouldn't have, right? Because user profile could be public, right? And maybe I'll add a thing here. I'll do it right now. We'll add a Boolean, which is, where's my Boolean? And we're going to say is public. And so maybe we're going to have like some social thing on our website, and if you want to make your profile public for people to be able to see it, you can, and you will do it via this flag. And in advanced setting, I'm going to say by default it's private, and click finish. So you could have something like this. And so now, like, if we go back, and it has nothing to do with this Boolean that I added, but if you go back to our front end and refresh, something broke because we're not getting anything. So we'll fix it. But in reality, like all we should do is be able to get just the user data from the profiles. And so the reason why is because we're trying to hard code this, and this is not the logged in user. So let's do this. Let's delete this because that was just for the example. Then if the user is logged in, we get the user ID. And then if we have the user ID, we're going to look up the profile based on the user ID and return the user data and refresh. And it's broken. So now we troubleshoot. Actually, hold on a second. I think because I changed the relationship, I need to go to my Strapi application. And this is going to be an interesting topic, which let me take a look first. So if we go to our content and we look at user profile, because but no, that shouldn't matter. Hold on again. We go to user, Paul Varsavsky. Yes, because I changed it, it kind of erased the relationship because I'm doing it locally. But anyway, so let's fix it. Another thing here, like sometimes look like you're like, okay, this is the ID. Maybe this is not like this doesn't make sense. I don't know which user profile this is. And so we could go to, I believe, to configure the view. And if you go to user profile, and I'm lying to you again, username, setting entry title. Oh, username. I wonder why I wasn't showing it. Anyway, we'll figure it out. One thing at a time. Let's just for now just select. It's gonna drive me up the wall though. Save. Let me go. And now that we have that for Paul Braslavsky, and we go back and we run and restart, then we fail again. Did I save it? I saved it. Let's see, content manager, user profile. Did I pick the wrong Paul Braslavsky? Let me delete this one. I'm confusing here. So here's like another thing that I was gonna say. This is actually a good point. So because of me making a two-way relationship where from the start I should have made one way, and because I built out a bunch of my front end already, like when you find that you're like, oh, there's a better way of doing things, and then you go back refactor, now it becomes not like a simple change. And now you have to like kind of troubleshoot and figure out like what is happening and where you're running into issues. And so that's kind of like very important to do. So let me see 5. Yep, let me erase this one just for troubleshooting purposes. Confirm. And then like another issue this is going to be, by the way, is because I have this app in production where like it's not going to be a big problem because right now users log in with GitHub, but there is no function to automatically create user profile. And because no user have created a profile yet, like it's not going to be an issue. But if I did have users that already created their profile in like this new application that's live, and I update the relationship the way it is in the database, I would literally have to write a database migration to make sure that I make those changes in the production database without fudging things up. So that's like another thing to like consider and think about. But we're going to slowly work on stuff and figure this out. Let's see here. Let me go restart. And then one thing that I want to do is I'm going to get user profile. I'm going to console.log. That's how you troubleshoot response. And see what this looks like. Do you ever like console log stuff, and because you like don't know where it's gonna appear, you do stuff like this, where you like, okay, I want it to be like have some sort of visual representation that I could see it. So let's see here. Let's restart our server. Let's restart our client. Yarn dev. Okay, so let me just quickly look here at Black Dreams. So like the question is, when a user selects a destination, they're redirected to a booking platform with my affiliate ID. The step is done. What I need to do is a plugin to track users' interaction on the website. That's like a very interesting kind of like use case. I'd have to think about it, because that could be like very simple, and or it could be like very complex, like what actions. And I'm assuming like when people click the affiliate link, they go to a front end website. So you need to be able to track interactions on the front end and then be able to store all those interactions in your Strapi instance. So you could make a plugin that tracks affiliates. But that's gonna be something that is not gonna be straightforward. It's something that you would have to kind of think about how you would do that and what actions are you tracking. But yeah, but you could definitely do that. And what's cool is like you could build a plugin like when you're able to track the interactions, and you could in your Strapi dashboard have an area where you see all the users and the interactions they made. But that's probably gonna, that's a very interesting like use case. But you would have to build a custom plugin. I don't think there's a plugin that exists that does that at the moment. So I would say, what I would suggest, I don't know if you build any Strapi plugins yet, but what I would say is try to build a plugin, and that would going to kind of show you how you would start to think about building the thing that you want. So let me share this recent blog post we had. Like, basically, if you go through this tutorial, you're gonna get an idea. It's slightly different use case. So here, basically what they did is they created a plugin and a custom field that allows you to like track trucks. And then in your dashboard, you could have like this widget view, which shows all the trucks. And in your case, it could be a widget that shows all the users to you. And when you click on it, it could show you all the interactions that the user has. But basically this tutorial covers how to build a simple plugin, build a widget, and create a custom field. And so like if you've never built a Strapi plugin, this will be like step one. So I'll put it in the chat. Oh, and you talk about something like Hotjar. Like, I wonder if there's a Hotjar plugin already. Let me, Strapi Marketplace. Strapi Marketplace. Yeah. I've never used Hotjar before. Come on, let me type Hotjar just to see if there's like a... No. Hotjar. Like, what is it? Like SEO, tracking SEO, tracking. I don't know like what app it is because I've never used it. Hotjar, heat map and behavior analytics. And so like, I guess like what I would say is like, I don't know if it's like Hotjar, if it's like, because what you can do is, so there's many ways to do it. You could build something from scratch, which is probably going to be insane, or you could find existing services like Hotjar. And I don't know if like Hotjar has API integration or not. Like Hotjar API integration. Hotjar API reference. So like what you could do is, again, like I don't know anything about Hotjar. I'm just doing this like kind of like brainstorming. If you use Hotjar as a service, what you could do is you could create a plugin that consumes or uses like Hotjar API and then shows you all your reporting inside your Strapi app. I don't know if that makes sense. Or if you want to kind of roll your own kind of plugin and integration. But I don't think like building something like this from scratch would be easy, but I think that would be like a cool kind of project and cool idea to do. But yeah, check it out. The blog post I posted, like just like, I think building Strapi plugins is like really cool. Like, let me like I know I broke my project and I'm sure it's nothing crazy and I'll fix it in a little bit. But I just want to show you like the power of plugins. So here I am in my application. I'm in my Strapi server, and if I go to GitHub, not GitHub, dude, GitHub, you could mistype it and like do public search for something ridiculous. Jesus Christ. GitHub, I'm just kidding. Map, Strapi plugin Mapbox. So I created this plugin. I didn't do the README, like a README would make sense to show people how to use it. But what I did is I published my plugin on NPM. And so like what I'm able to do is I'm able to literally go, and this probably will fail, but I could do, I'm using yarn add Strapi plugin. I think I could set latest. And this is going to go ahead and download it. And now my Strapi application has a new functionality that didn't exist. And I do have to enable it. And basically in your server, you have, and it's good that I'm zoomed in, you'll see part of my public key inside config, inside the plugins folder. You kind of say what plugin you installed, and I'll add this in the README. But the whole point is the fact that you could build custom functionality via plugins. This is incorrect. This should be removed because we're just getting it from Node. And I think that's all I had to do. Let me check my package JSON that I installed it. Source. Where's my package JSON? I'm too zoomed in. So yes, my plugin is installed, and then I could run yarn dev to restart my Strapi project. And now what's cool is in my Strapi application, let's say for user profile, we want our users to be able to add their location. I'm not saying that's a good idea to share your location. I'm just showing you an example of like, hey, dude, I'm also a vibe coder, but I decided to like, I don't have any AI in this VS Code because I think sometimes you need a break. Vibe coding is fun because I wasted, there's days where I waste like 6 hours vibe coding and nothing works. And then I'm like, dude, I should have just done it myself. And then there's days where it's like so helpful. And so I think it's like a schizophrenic girlfriend. I don't think that's, is that offensive to say? I don't know. But it literally sometimes feels like it, that, you know? And so like I'm all for it. I do use ChatGPT and I like V0 because for Next.js stuff, it's kind of nice. But let's go back to our Strapi instance. And so now if I go to my page builder and I go to users profile, because users profile need a location, and then I'll go add another field and I have this custom thing. Oh my God, look at this. What is this? Mapbox. That's a custom plugin that I built. And if I click on it, I'm going to call it location. And then it'll probably break because I'm known to do things that break. And once I'm done, I save it, right? And now my Strapi application has this new functionality that never existed. So if I go to user profile, go here, look, I have a map in my Strapi application. It's amazing. And I think I'm too excited that I built a plugin that actually works and doesn't explode. I think like that's like the big part about it. But check this out. Like I'm not gonna click this because if I click this, I'm gonna dox myself. So that feature works. Find my location works if you're wondering, but I'm just gonna do general because I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm gonna search Austin, Texas, and boom, I have my map. And now I could save a location and save and publish. And now my user has a location available. And I love that about Strapi, the fact that you can basically add any additional functionality to your project via plugins or custom fields. I think that's pretty awesome. And so with that being said, let's kind of try to look at some questions. All right, I'm just a vibe coder. I already looked. I'm looking at the, yeah, Alex. The Skynet is coming. Jesus Christ, this keeps me up at night because like I use Cursor, and I'm like, Cursor sometimes is so dumb. But then I also see all these doomers just talking about like and I think the truth is obviously somewhere in the middle. And so I feel like just keep doing what you're doing, because like if you enjoy coding, keep pursuing coding. If you enjoy like trying to be a plumber, do plumbing. If you enjoy something else, just life is too short. And Jesus Christ, the way the world is right now, maybe like who knows? Maybe there's not going to be a planet soon. And so just do the things you enjoy and go from there. And I think there is hype, but I think there's also some not hype. So I am definitely using it. Like I'm trying to build AI powered application for sure. And like this map plugin that I'm building, I am definitely gonna inject some AI magic. Like one of the things I wanted to do, and like I'm gonna share this idea and someone's probably gonna steal it, but I don't care. If you steal it, good, then you're gonna build something and then I could use it. But so I'm building two different applications as a site. I built too many applications that I never finished. But when I went to Thailand, what I would love to do is to have a app where you could say like, plan a good fun out within the 5-mile radius of where I'm at. And basically what it does, it'll ask you some questions like, what do you like? Do you want to party? Do you want to go to a club? Do you want to go drinking? Do you want to be more chill? And you just say, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. This is like kind of what I'm interested in. And I say, I only have like from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And you just click enter and it's going to like generate like a map with a little walking trail of all the cool places that you could chill and visit. And maybe it'll be like, oh, you could go to this restaurant, have coffee. After you're done, there's this cool live music place and they'll show you how to get there. And after live music, you could go hang out and meet people here for an after party. And so like I was thinking of creating like an app which allows you to, on the spot, like maybe you're like in Texas and you've never been, and you basically say, I'm feeling like this, and it'll basically within 5 miles or however you specify within walking distance shows you all the cool things you can do. I think that'll be like a cool app to have. But now like I should probably fix my application. But yeah, AI is kind of interesting. There's an interesting video actually. We're not like I think I'm gonna do once in a while because reaction content, I don't know why it does so well. I hate it. But anyway, there's a cool video that was done. I don't know if YouTube, why I stopped using AI. Yeah, why stop using AI by senior software engineer dev, this guy. So like this was like pretty clickbaity and I was like, yeah, come on. And then I watched it and I'll put it in the chat by the way. And he literally talked about all the problems I was having. And it was really frustrating. And I was like, oh my God, how come nobody's talking about this? So everybody's like, well, all the hype, how it's going to replace developers, how it's going to do this, how it's going to do that. But like the point is like, it's not perfect. And it actually sometimes wastes a lot of time. Not to mention, by the way, MIT study Chat GPT making us all dumb. And this is why I have like my my VS Code, I don't use any AI because I want to make sure that I give myself time to like actually do things and think about things on myself and not rely on these different tools. But MIT lab here, and I'll put this in the chat, your brain on Chat GPT, and basically kind of it's safe to say that LLMs are in essence making us dumber. No, please do not use words like stupid, dumb, brain. Dude, what is happening here? Okay, so I see somebody said stuff. Okay, whatever. Okay, I get it. So here's where's the hype. So they wrote this whole paper. They didn't really say it's making us dumber or insane. So they're trying to be PG. But basic study of this is kind of saying like, hey, you know, if you, and I didn't, to be honest, I didn't read it. But here's one thing I know. If you start to use LLM or ChatGPT, let me go to like normal screen here for a second. If you start using like all these tools to where you just let it do it for you, like for instance, I don't remember anybody's phone numbers because I could look it up. And if I lose my phone, I won't be able to call my mom or my sister. I'm kidding. I know my mom's and my sister's, um, you know, phone number. But if like I don't have my phone, I can't look it up, and so I'm lost. And I think like it's the same thing with LLMs. If you don't spend time like trying to learn how things work, and you're not curious to understand how things work under the hood, and you just trust everything that LLMs do, you're gonna do yourself a disservice. One thing that I'm gonna share with you is that I have a friend. He works at a company who is high enough where he just does a lot of the planning, a lot of the architecting. He has developers underneath him who do PRs, and he has to review them. And what he's been noticing is how many people are vibe coding their way at work, and basically the PRs, they're not good. And he's like, I can't accept this. Did you even think about like what you did? And sometimes people, they look at the code, they're like, oh, this is good enough. This looks about right. They don't really understand everything. Because they didn't take the due diligence to test it or do all those things. And so they like push it to the PR, and all of a sudden it's all messed up. It's all wrong. And then when my friend goes back to them, he's like, listen, I can't do this PR. Like, what were you thinking? Like, can you explain to me the stuff? And now people like, they can't because they vibe coded their way into that PR. And now it's like, they're smart enough to eventually figure it out. That's not the point. But the point is they just wasted valuable company time where they could have just done the due diligence like right from the start. So I think that's like very kind of important to kind of try to find a balance where you're using AI to get better and not to kind of, have it do it for you. And to me, like the way I think of using AI, use your AI as a rubber ducky, your way to talk through problems and solve problems. And I'm so afraid that AI is making me dumb. And I'm not saying this is the book you get. This is the book that I found for free, so I'm reading it. But I'm literally like afraid that using and resting on AI so much, I'm gonna forget how to solve problems. So I got this book, and my screen is backwards. Are you kidding me? But it says problem solving programming concepts. So basically, I think like the more we think and leverage AI, the worse we're gonna get, I believe, at problem solving. So we have to go out of our ways to kind of think about how can we keep improving our problem solving kind of muscle. And then Alex says, use for examples most of the time and break down stuff to get. Yeah, like for me, like definitely like what I love about AI is the fact that you're able to use it to iterate like really fast, and you're gonna get some good ideas, some bad ideas. But when you dive into the code and you try to understand what works, you're like, oh, this thing it says is bad, or this is not good. And this idea, I didn't really think of this perspective. It's cool that now I know. And so you could iterate really fast, but at the end of the day, you still have to kind of make your own like kind of decision based on your understanding, like why you're doing the things that you're doing. Yeah, exactly. Literally, I think it's where LLM shine is to automate the CSS stuff, and so you could work on the programming stuff. So, like I was gonna, I probably should like fix and figure out what's wrong with my app. But I think like the biggest disservice, like, because I have ADHD, I'm gonna jump all over the place. So let me jump a little bit. Let me stop this for now. But so the problem I have with AIs is that, for instance, I'm very bad at writing. Like I hate, like, so I use Grammarly for everything because I'm stupid. And I realize I'm not sharing my screen at this point. The issue with Grammarly, it's amazing. It fixes your mistakes. It makes your writing sound better. But the issue is I don't get better as a writer, right? Like I don't get better. Like it doesn't teach me anything. So I was so frustrated with this. I made like a little toy app for fun. And I don't remember which folder I put it. Did I put it into project? CD projects. ADHD to do app. That's not it. I have ADHD, so I'm constantly trying. No, it's not in projects. No, it is. It's called Less Dumb Code let me yeah, how should let me open it in code. Here's another thing, like, not open. Before you used to type code and it would open VS Code, but if you have goddamn cursor installed, that's gonna open cursor, which, whatever, that's fine. We're gonna go with cursor. Because it'll be easier to start a project from here. So if I go to cd server yarn dev, I am using Strapi, of course, like a champ. Strapi everything, start the front end, yarn dev. So what are you trying to say? I got to go into the client, yarn dev, cd client yarn dev. Okay, here we go. Here's an interesting thing here. I'm going to show you the backend for Strapi because I just love showing Strapi all the time. And let me show this application here. So this is a toy app I made. It's called Make Me Sound Less Dumb. And then, of course, it has Strapi as the backend. And this is why, like, I feel like I kind of disappointed. What are you talking about? I don't remember my credentials. It's not important because I could just nuke everything. Okay, so in my backend, I have history. And then what you could see here, I have the original text that someone does and write where yeah, I've been yeah, by the way, yes, Black Dreams, it does apply to freshers. I'm doing all about the vibe coding and learning fundamentals. Yeah, you're on the right path. Keep vibe coding, but use it to learn, not just to use it as a crutch. Paul got hacked. Yeah, my brain is broken. Exactly. I got hacked on my own local environment. Seriously. That would be scary. My neighbor came and changed my passwords. But anyway, here's the original text. My mama said, if y'all got nothing to say, then don't say it. So obviously that's grammatically wrong. And then AI improves it and it says, my mother always said, if you have nothing to say, then don't say anything. But here's the most important part. It gives you an analysis of what the issue is, what you need to learn to get better. And so the issue I have with a lot of these AI-powered tools is that they are giving you the solution, but they're not really doing it from the standpoint of trying to make you a better developer. And I think, like, if people made, because they want you to count on those tools and pay your monthly due, they're not counting, like, they want you to be like a drug addict dependent on Cursor. Like, if the internet goes down and Cursor doesn't work, you're in trouble. And so I think what would be better, and I think I'm gonna create like a separate project specifically for coding like that, that basically is going to teach you why the code was bad. Like, and I think that's the most important part, is to continue to focus on like learning rather than trusting the tech and letting you do. Monkey123, of course, Monkey123. My password is yes. Look, I'm going to do this because, by the way, this is locally. So I have this joke. The most secure password is Monkey1234. So if I log out, this is running on my local environment, but I'll do paul.bratslavsky@gmail.com, Monkey1234. There's a funny story about Monkey1234 password, and that's why I kind of use it as a joke all the time. Wait, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What is going on? Did I misspell monkey? No, Monkey1234. Dude, I swear to God, dude, it's getting too late for me. Gmail, did I misspell something? Bro, oh, I misspelled my last name. That makes sense. My last name is ridiculous. Okay, but yeah, it's Monkey1234. The funny story about Monkey1234 is that I used to work with this guy, and he had like a business, and we had like this like website, his banking, and his password was monkey. It wasn't 1234, but it was monkey, his birthday, exclamation point. And his logic was like, Jesus Christ, Alex, I'm gonna stop complaining that it's 5 a.m. for you. But oh my God, stream start. Jesus, Alex, I keep forgetting. Oh, I'm so sorry, but thank you for being here. Now I feel extra special. Yeah, you could use forgot password because this is local, and because like you kind of have to set that feature up. There is a way to reset your password like locally. So there's two ways to do it. You could nuke your database, just start fresh, which is not the recommended approach. But you could go to Strapi docs, because I don't remember the command from the top of my head. We have Ask AI, which is our internal LLM that is trained on the docs. And I realize I'm not sharing my screen, so let me share. And you could say how to reset user password from terminal. So if you're like working locally and you don't want to nuke your whole database, you could use this command, Strapi admin user password reset. As long as you have the email, you could do it. But again, this only works in local, and it only works like when like you have access to the project, because that'll be like kind of silly. But anyway, but if you're in production in Strapi, you would have to set up the flow here. Like, so you would have to add a email provider, but you're able to roles. I think it's authenticate. No, it's public roles. Public, if you look at users permission, you have forgot password, reset password, and send email confirmation. So you could do that, but there is one like little setup step, because that is through an email. So you do have to set up an email provider. And locally, like, I'm not gonna set up email provider just for the hell of it. So I could just reset it in the terminal. But yeah, you could do that. So what I was showing here. But one thing I was gonna say, yeah. So basically like, I know I'm all over the place with LLMs. Like, to me, it's like, ooh, there's a cool AI feature coming soon to Strapi. But I was gonna say, I want people build AI systems that don't just do the work for you, but they actually go out of the way to make you better. And so like, I think like I'm going to create something similar like I did for this toy project, make me sound less dumb for coding, just so I could have a way to constantly learn from my interactions with AI, rather than thinking about and using it as a crutch of like, hey, it did my work, I don't have to worry about it. But like, if someone in the chat wants to put something that's really badly written, I'll put it in here and see my AI fix it. So you guys could write some badly worded, not like obnoxious stuff, but if you write something that grammatically or poorly written, I'm gonna put it into here if you want to throw it in chat, test out my app, and then I'll have to, you know, like, I should be like working on fixing coding after 30. We didn't break anything. It's okay. It's not a problem. It's fine. I'm making progress. Another thing that I was gonna say, like, when you're building applications, like, here's my, like, ADHD is insane, right? I was completely talking about something else, and now I'm like, bam, let me show you this image and this graph. This is another thing that I'm thinking. So right now, my application, I do all my development locally. And so I have a local Next.js project. That's what we saw. I have local dev running Strapi. That's what we saw. And all of my database is living in SQLite. So for instance, if I go, like, my project is not running, but I think if I do SQLite, what happened to my connect SQLite connect SQ? Maybe because, anyway, that's kind of frustrating. Maybe because my project is not running, but anyway, locally, all my database, it's SQLite. I think because it's not running, it's not connected, but I was going to connect to my database to show you. So my local database is separate from the production one. And my current workflow at the moment is when I make the changes, I make the PR and I push that code to GitHub, and GitHub triggers my deployment to Vercel, right? And it will rebuild my project and redeploy it. And then same thing for Strapi. Whenever I push to GitHub, Strapi Cloud will get triggered and my application will rebuild. Let me close some of these extra ones. I have too many things open. And so that's gonna go to production, and my production application, it has its own Postgres database, and I never push data to production, right? You keep it separate. If you need to kind of have some example data, it's okay to pull data down from production, but don't be pushing data to production because it's very easy to get into a lot of trouble and break stuff. And so based on kind of this simplified kind of flow of my application, and because it's like a personal project, like, yeah, it's in production and I do have some users, like I'm okay with this flow. But ultimately, as the project gets bigger, like this is not going to be like the best because there's nothing here for just one more line of defense from breaking everything. And so what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to add an intermediary step, and I'm going to create a staging environment. And so staging, again, it could have the same application front end, have the Strapi application, have a separate database that has nothing to do with the production database. You never want to mix, like your like, oh my God. One of the mistakes that I've seen, people will have their local, they will have their staging, or even worse, they don't have staging, they have their production. Their local application is pointing to their production app. And then when they break something or change something, they literally break and change things in their production database. I'm like, why would you ever do that? Like, that's insanity. But some of us do that. And so don't do it. And so the idea, like, I think what I'm going to do as my application grows is to create the staging environment to get extra layer of protection. So, like, for instance, I broke my app right now. Like, obviously, I'm not going to push the changes, but let's say I did push the changes and my app is broken locally right now, it would break my app in production. But if I have staging, that would be like an extra layer of defense that will allow me to kind of not have to deal with that. And then you could also have tests, of course. Like, I set up this project for testing, but I think I had set up both Jest and Playwright. Or maybe I was too lazy and I just set up Playwright and not use React testing. But you should definitely write some tests. I used to be really not like some people go crazy with testing, but I think you need to have tests because the bigger your application gets, it's so hard to test things manually. And so I go with Playwright first because, yeah, exactly. Next.js wants, yeah. That's the problem with Next.js. Want to pay plan to have multiple environments. Amen, brother. Dude? Multiple environments are expensive, and Next.js, they build a money printing machine. Basically, that's what they did. And I'm using Next.js. Why? Because everybody loves Next.js, and then at work we use Next.js, so it's important that I become proficient on Next.js. But Vercel definitely figured out the cheat code for money printing, for sure. But the good news is, if you're building projects for clients, your clients should be paying that, not you, right? And so, like, in a sense, to me, it's not like a big issue unless it's an issue with, with you paying for your own projects. But what I could do, I could create another environment locally. That's my staging environment, but whatever. I actually didn't do that video yet, but I think I'm going to, because it's very common and it's something I see a lot of Strapi users do, is that they have their local environment and they point to their uh, production database, and they'll delete their database. Like, definitely always back up your database. And so to me, like, I'll have to make a video, I'll add it to my list, is definitely, like, at a bare minimum, when you have your local environment, have a separate database that's separate from your production database, just because bad things could happen if if you do that. But I'll definitely have to make a video for that, because that makes perfect sense. And notice how, like, you're never pushing data up, you're always pulling data down for databases, because pushing data up is just issues waiting to happen. I mean, MongoDB sucks. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. No, the issue I have with MongoDB, dude, when I was learning to code, by the way, you could use my favorite hosted, and they have like a very good free tier. It's called NeonDB. It's Postgres. They're awesome. So you could set up staging DB with Neon or whatever. Cloud-based. Neon is pretty awesome. Like, some people like to use Supabase. Like, Supabase, like, to me, it's like I like Supabase, but don't mix it with Strapi. Even though I made a video showing how to use Supabase with Strapi, like, don't mix it. The issue with MongoDB, by the way, get out of here, Alex. Like, unless you have a very specific use case. Okay, the only caveat I'll tell Alex is, if you have a very specific use case where MongoDB makes sense, amen, use MongoDB. The issue I have with MongoDB, like, let's search, let's go to Udemy, and let's search build React app. They probably like changed their minds, but when we were starting out, most of the apps, I'm just gonna pick this one, Begin React Redux, they're using Firebase. Even worse. Okay, Academine, I think he's not too bad. I'm gonna trust that he is not using Mongo. I'm gonna look though. Let's see. React getting most JavaScript, React Essence, Practice. I don't know if Practice Project, App, State, Advanced. Maybe he's not using database here, doing local. But anyway, my biggest issue is, like, all these tutorials, they do framework with MongoDB or Firebase, build Next.js with MongoDB and Firebase. When you get hired, nobody uses Firebase or MongoDB unless there's like a very specific use case. So if you're looking to get hired, learn an SQL like database, learn Postgres or SQL, like whatever. Like, MongoDB, to me, I feel like don't do it. Like, let's look at this Next.js. Well, that's Maximilian. He's probably okay. React Native mobile app development. Steven Grinder probably uses normal database. The best React Native course. Well, that's React Native. It's kind of not fair. They're probably going to do something weird. But anyway, yeah, don't use MongoDB if you're starting out. I know why people use MongoDB. It's because they have a very good way to get started with, what is it, Mongo. It's been years. What's it, Atlas? Yeah, Atlas database. It's like the easiest way to get started. So I get why a lot of tutorials do it, but honestly, just if you're lurking to get into dev, use Postgres or SQL like database. But I don't think that organization actually use MongoDB that's much. Postgres all the way. MongoDB is just for so. And I don't think that's fair to say, like starting some beef here. I think there's use cases for MongoDB that make sense, and those organizations are using MongoDB for those specific issues. But in a lot of cases, Postgres makes sense. But if you're a new developer, like definitely start with Postgres first. It'll like honestly, I didn't waste time. I'm glad I learned like all my tutorials at the beginning before I got hired were MongoDB. So here's the funny thing, like before I got my first job, all the tutorials I took, like they were MongoDB, Firebase. They were like the biggest thing. I got my first job as a React developer. Their backend was using ASP.NET C#, and all of their backend was SQL databases. I was so lost. I felt I was going to get fired literally for the first like 3 months. And so I would work, and then I would go home, and I would literally study how does C# interact with a SQL database, because I had no clue. And I had created so much stress. And I've had, let's see, I'm not going to count my like self-employed and my internships, but even my internships, they all had SQL databases because WordPress used SQL. My real job as a full React developer and doing C# backend, that was SQL. My second job, real job after that, where I worked for a couple of years, was Postgres. And then now working where I'm working at Strapi, it's Postgres and SQL databases. And so like, and when I talk to a lot of my friends, it's that same experience. So if you're just starting out, do yourself a favor and like really focus on like SQL databases. And yeah, no, I mean, MongoDB is got specific reasons for it. I just say for beginner developers, my personal mistake was learning MongoDB first and using a server or doing something like Firebase. Because as a developer, like, okay, as a developer, you learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript is a given, then you learn TypeScript. Once you learn the front end, what you're going to start learning is like how to interact with APIs. Okay, you learn how to interact with APIs. After you learn that, you're like, okay, you're going to dive into like backends, and you're going to work with either Node.js or ASP.NET or Java backend. And all of those, like when you look at enterprise customers, majority of them, 9 times out of 10, are using like SQL, Postgres type databases. And so like, to me, like if most companies use that, go ahead and do that. And yeah, Black Dreams, thanks for stopping by, and definitely stop by Strapi open office hours, and then we could take a look at your code and like help you fix your issue you were having. And yeah, brother, like go get some sleep. I'm about to end the stream in a few minutes anyway, because it is the weekend and I gotta relax. And yeah, keep learning. And then yeah, Shiver says SQL is worth learning because Cassandra, SQL, and Scala also uses it with SQL. Inspired with yes. Hate MongoDB aggregations. I think like, so like one thing I was gonna say, like I'm not a fanboy. Like if someone says like Next.js sucks, I'll be like, it probably does for some use cases. Someone could say Postgres sucks. For like, there's literally specific use cases where MongoDB is the way to go. And so I think like it's like picking the thing that is the right use case for your project. And for majority of projects, it's Postgres. Not fanboying here, I'm just saying. But I like, to me, like I'm not in love with like specific tech. I just happen to like using specific tech. But if I'm at a job and they say, hey, Paul, you have to do like MongoDB with like Java, I'll be like, sure, sounds good, let's do it, or anything. So I think like using the right, like I talked to my friend who's like been in this industry forever, and what he says, like when someone says like and starts the conversation with the technology they want to use, he's like, they're already failed. Like, because you shouldn't start the conversation with the technology you want to use. You want to start the conversation with what is the problem you're trying to solve, and really understanding that, and then you pick the right technology for the job. You don't let the technology dictate the solution. You let the problem and the solution that you think is going to be best dictate what technology you use. So people that say like always use Next.js or always use Astra, or even in my case, always use Strapi, that's not the right answer. The right answer is like based on your requirements, what is the best tool for your job. And so, yeah. But anyway, I think like this would be a good ending point. I want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by. I'm gonna keep streaming Monday through Friday. Jesus Christ. I'm not gonna stream Monday through Friday. I gotta work. I'm gonna stream Friday nights. I usually start 8 p.m. CST time, and so I'm gonna continue to do that. Continue building out my LMS project, and answer questions and have discussions. Monday through Friday. No, I said, bro, Friday, just only Friday. I was thinking of doing Wednesday night, like vibe coder stream where all I do is vibe code, but I'm going to think about that. Like, I don't know if like that's the best use of my time, but definitely Fridays I'm going to stream and to continue building my LMS project. And so before I go, let me just quickly, so I have this website, Coding After 30, where I showcase like the free courses that I make for my YouTube channel, and I'm trying to make a better experience for users where you have not only the video, but you have the notes, which is a better experience than YouTube. But all these courses are free on YouTube. So I'm basically on this stream talking about how I'm building these applications, or mostly how I'm breaking these applications, and like what I'm doing and lessons learned. And what else? If you want to learn about Strapi, I'll put it in the chat. You could just go to Coding After 30 website and check out this crash course I did. But if you're like, I don't want to go on your stupid website, like whatever, you could just see it on, like if you type in Strapi crash course, it's this one. All the videos, I'm surprised it didn't show the playlist, but there's a whole playlist. All the videos are on YouTube. You don't need to go to my website, but my website is free, and you get the notes, and you get better experience. And more importantly, you could come on these streams and complain how my app is broken, it doesn't work, and then I could cry. And it's a win-win for everybody. But yeah, so with that being said, let me see like any last questions or light mode, YouTube. No, bro, I know. I go back and forth. I love dark mode, but I've been in dark mode too long. And I also use light mode because here's the thing. I'll show you. So if I go to, notice how my face got darker. So part of my cheat, light mode on my computer is kind of like my secondary light for my face. So that's the answer. But anyway, thank you all for stopping by. Really had fun. I'm going to continue doing these streams every Friday, and like we did earlier today where we had random questions that we talked about, we're going to keep doing that. So thanks a lot for stopping by. You all have a great and amazing weekend. And I hope with everything stupid going on in the world that you're all being okay, you and your families. But with that being said, thanks so much. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one.